Have you ever stopped to think that the world around you might be showing signs of something much bigger? As news of climate crises, wars, and global corruption multiplies, an ancient prophecy seems to whisper truths that are hauntingly relevant today. Enoch, a figure often overlooked in the Bible, left a message so impactful that it's impossible to ignore. But why is no one talking about it? What are they hiding from you? Get ready, because what you're about to discover here might completely change your perspective on what's coming. Forget everything you've heard superficially about the end of times. Enoch's vision isn't just about destruction, it's about choices, consequences, and the chance to prepare for events that might be closer than we think. And the most surprising part, it's more connected to our reality than you might imagine. But beware, this isn't content for the faint of heart. If you're ready to face deep truths, understand the role you play in this grand plan, and discover how today's events are tied to what the Bible warned us about thousands of years ago, stay with me. What's about to be revealed might be the wake-up call you've been needing to open your eyes. Now, before we dive deeper into this topic, let me ask you something. If you knew that understanding these events could make all the difference in your life, would you have the courage to face it head-on? And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss any essential content that helps you understand what's happening and how to prepare for what's coming. Enoch's vision is an invitation to open our eyes to what's right in front of us but often ignored. Imagine a world shrouded in shadows, where humanity walks in circles, disconnected from its essence. It's like being in the eye of a cosmic storm, a moment of deceptive calm before reality crashes down. This powerful image reflects not only the times described by Enoch, but also the challenges we face today, such as climate change and growing global corruption. The world in darkness in the prophecy is more than a symbol. It's a mirror of modern humanity, with its endless distractions and unconscious choices. When Enoch speaks of a divine warning, he isn't just referring to supernatural events. Think about the warning voices all around us, from environmental activists to spiritual leaders, trying to wake us up. But how many actually listen? This warning is like a beacon amidst chaos. It challenges us to reflect. What are we doing with our human responsibility? Enoch makes it clear that we are not passive victims, but active participants in a universal drama. Small actions, like supporting ethical causes or rethinking our consumption habits, can be a start. Something as simple as planting a tree or avoiding resource waste is already a practical response to this foretold storm. It's curious how such an ancient message can feel so relevant today. The end of times that Enoch foresaw might seem distant, but what if the end he speaks of is already in motion? It's as if his vision is telling us, wake up before it's too late. This urgency becomes tangible when we look at the signs around us. Natural disasters, social inequalities, and the spiritual battle between light and darkness. And so, Enoch's vision is not just a mystical account, but a divine message calling for our action. It's an opportunity to reflect on where we are and where we want to go. By the way, for those who want to delve deeper into these connections and prepare for what's to come, I have an exclusive ebook on biblical prophecies. It helps you understand how current events connect to the Bible's warnings and is available in the first pinned comment. But hurry, it's only available for a limited time. Don't miss out before it's gone. The universal judgment described in Enoch's vision is a concept that goes far beyond mere punishment. Imagine a cosmic tribunal where everyone, from humanity to rebellious angels, answers for their actions. It's a call to reflect on responsibility and the impact every choice brings. Enoch describes this event not as a threat, but as an inevitable correction, a restored balance in a universe governed by divine justice. This judgment, according to the prophecy, is indiscriminate. It's a moment of absolute truth, where hidden acts and forgotten intentions are brought to light. In daily life, we can draw parallels by thinking about how small decisions, like treating someone kindly or acting with integrity, can resonate in our lives and the lives of others. After all, if we were called to account, what would our actions reveal? It's also fascinating to think about the role of the angels of justice mentioned by Enoch. They aren't distant figures, but agents of the divine, reinforcing the idea of a fair and balanced judgment. Imagine them as forces working to restore what's been broken, bringing hope amidst chaos. This concept invites us to think about how we can be angels in the modern world, by defending the oppressed, fighting against injustice, or simply offering a word of support to someone in need. Meanwhile, the universal judgment also challenges us to examine the state of humanity as a whole. Corruption, wars, and rampant greed show that we're still far from achieving the righteousness Enoch urges us to seek. But there's a turning point: repentance. Acknowledging our mistakes and correcting our course is more than a relief for the conscience. It's a step toward a more just and balanced humanity. Finally, this vision of judgment serves as a reminder that nothing escapes the divine gaze. It's not about fear, but about responsibility. While everyone's choices shape their own journey, the prophecy points to something even greater, a striking contrast between the destinies of the righteous and the wicked, which we'll explore in the next section. In Enoch's vision, the destinies of the righteous and the wicked are portrayed as absolute opposites, almost like day and night. Sinners are compared to wandering stars, directionless and drifting in a purposeless void. On the other hand, the righteous shine with the steadiness of the sun, anchored in righteousness and stability. This powerful imagery reminds us how our choices shape not only our future, but also the impact we leave on the world around us. This contrast is not just symbolic, it reflects realities we observe in daily life. Consider someone who lives solely for themselves, seeking personal gain at the expense of others, compared to someone who dedicates their life to generosity and justice. One may accumulate wealth or power, but carries an inner emptiness. The other, while perhaps not receiving much public recognition, finds true peace and purpose. Enoch's prophecy makes it clear that these paths lead to very different destinations. The metaphor of wandering stars is particularly intriguing. They are beautiful, but unstable, unable to find a fixed place. It makes us think about the traps of the modern world, the relentless pursuit of fame, wealth, and instant validation, often at the cost of fundamental values. On the other hand, the constant brilliance of the sun represents the steadiness of those who choose righteousness, even in difficult times. It's about living with purpose, doing what is right, even when no one is watching. Enoch's vision invites us to reflect. What kind of star do we want to be? Are we firm in our principles, or are we being carried away by fleeting desires and superficial goals? This contrast between destinies reminds us that every choice has lasting consequences, and that true fulfillment comes from living in harmony with divine justice and human responsibility. By the way, if this content is helping you better understand Enoch's vision and the impact of his prophecies, give it a like. It's a simple way to support and ensure that more people can access these profound reflections. And in the next section, we'll delve into humanity's central role and the importance of its choices in this scenario. Enoch highlights something fundamental. Humanity faces a constant choice between light and darkness. We are not mere spectators on a divine stage, but protagonists with the power to decide which path to take. This moral struggle is reflected in every act, from grand gestures to small daily decisions. Imagine someone choosing to confront an injustice at work or helping a stranger. These choices shape not just the individual, but also the world around them. This responsibility may seem overwhelming, but it's also liberating. The fact that we have the power to change the course of our lives and positively influence others is extraordinary. Enoch shows us that even in a world full of temptations and challenges, choosing righteousness is still possible. It may be hard to resist selfish impulses, but every act of kindness and justice is like a light shining in the darkness. When we think about the signs of the end mentioned in the prophecy, it's easy to feel fear or despair. But Enoch reminds us that these signs are, in fact, opportunities. They give us a chance to reassess our priorities and correct our course before it's too late. For example, by connecting more deeply with the divine message, we can identify areas in our lives that need change, whether in how we treat others or how we handle our own challenges. The moral struggle Enoch describes is universal and timeless. Even today, we face decisions that test our ethics and character. Choosing good may seem less appealing in a world that glorifies shortcuts and instant rewards, but it's this choice that sets apart the wandering stars from those who shine like the sun. This leads us to reflect on how each of us can truly be an agent of change by choosing what is just and right. As we continue exploring Enoch's message, it's impossible to ignore the vital role of the angels of divine justice, figures that descend to restore balance in a chaotic world. But are we ready to recognize and support these forces, even in the simplest ways in our daily lives? That's what we'll discuss in the next section. The angels of divine justice in Enoch's vision are more than mere celestial messengers. They represent direct intervention to restore order amid chaos. Think of them as forces that not only bring balance, but also reaffirm the responsibility each person has for their choices. This powerful imagery prompts us to reflect on how we too can be instruments of this justice in our world. After all, acts of kindness, no matter how small, have the power to balance what is out of order. It's fascinating to imagine angels descending into a scene of confusion to bring clarity and direction. They remind us that divine justice is not driven by hatred, but by a desire to correct and protect. In our lives, these angels can be symbolized by people or situations that lead us to do what is right. An opportunity to stand against injustice or support someone in need may, in a way, be a manifestation of this calling. But the angels also challenge us to look inward. Are we living justly with others and ourselves? Sometimes restoring balance means forgiving someone or correcting a past mistake. It's like a constant invitation to align our actions with what is good and true. Enoch reminds us that justice is not just an external force, but a daily practice that begins in our hearts. Even so, it's important to remember that the actions of angels are not isolated. They are described as agents working in harmony with the divine plan, prompting us to consider how we can collaborate with these forces, even within our human limitations. By acting with integrity and justice, we become, in a way, co-participants in this process, reinforcing the message that good can always prevail. This restoration leads us to something even deeper. While the angels of justice operate on a cosmic level, there's a call for each individual to do their part by living an ethical and purposeful life. This is what the next section will address, exploring how our individual actions can align with this greater vision of balance and justice. Enoch's vision carries a clear message. Each person is responsible for their choices and the impact they have on the world. Living an ethical life is not just an ideal, but a necessity in times of uncertainty. When we act with integrity and purpose, we create a solid foundation to face challenges and inspire others. Imagine how small gestures, like helping someone in need or being honest in everyday situations, can create a ripple effect of positive change. Enoch's message emphasizes that there is no neutrality in this moral struggle. Every decision we make, no matter how small, feeds the world's balance or imbalance. Think, for example, of how supporting local initiatives, caring for the environment, or being fair in personal relationships can reflect a commitment to the greater good. It's a powerful reminder that every act matters, even if it's not immediately visible. This call to live ethically is also an invitation for reflection. Are we living in alignment with our values? Enoch challenges us to examine our behavior and ask ourselves, are we contributing to righteousness or to darkness? This self-analysis is essential for correcting our course when necessary and reinforcing a lifestyle that values justice and responsibility. Living ethically also means leaving a positive legacy. When we act righteously, we are planting seeds that will bloom for future generations. It's the kind of impact that goes beyond ourselves, creating a more balanced and just world. Enoch inspires us to see ethics not as a burden, but as an opportunity to leave meaningful marks in our surroundings, whether through grand or small actions. And since we're talking about the impact of ethical choices, why not share in the comments an example of how you strive to live aligned with justice and righteousness? It could be a daily habit or something that transformed your way of thinking. Your experience could inspire others and strengthen this chain of positive changes. In the next section, we'll connect this message to the modern challenges we face, such as climate change and global corruption. Enoch's vision, though rooted in a distant past, resonates with the challenges we face today. Issues like climate change, global corruption, and social inequalities are the signs of the end that contemporary humanity cannot ignore. The dark world Enoch describes mirrors our current crises, where selfish choices often jeopardize collective survival. Every environmental disaster or political scandal is a reminder of how justice has been neglected. These challenges demand moral courage. When Enoch warns of the cosmic storm, he's not just speaking of a future event, but an ongoing process. Consider how simple actions, like supporting sustainable initiatives, voting for ethical leaders, or educating the next generations, can help combat this modern darkness. These are choices anyone can make, with real impacts on the world around us. Corruption, a central theme in both the prophecy and our reality, is an obstacle that fuels imbalance. Yet even in the face of this, Enoch encourages us not to lose hope. Righteousness, though challenging, is a force capable of transforming systems and hearts. A practical example is supporting organizations that promote transparency and social justice, creating a movement that challenges the logic of corruption and greed. Another relevant point is the environmental issue, which directly resonates with human responsibility as described by Enoch. When we neglect our role as stewards of creation, we contribute to the darkness. However, by adopting practices such as reducing waste, planting trees, and consuming consciously, we reaffirm our commitment to divine justice and universal balance. The prophecy reminds us that these modern challenges are not the end of the line, but a call to action. Enoch inspires us to be agents of change in a world that desperately needs light. In the next section, we'll explore how these small individual choices can create ripple effects, producing positive impacts that transcend generations. Enoch teaches us that human actions, no matter how simple they may seem, have the power to trigger cascading effects of unimaginable proportions. Think about how a single act of kindness can create a ripple effect of positive impacts. A classic example is someone helping a stranger during a tough time, who then finds inspiration to help someone else. In this way, one small gesture can transform into a chain of changes that echo far beyond the starting point. This principle is especially powerful in the context of Enoch's vision, which emphasizes the connection between individual choices and the restoration of universal balance. When we choose to act righteously, we are planting seeds that may bloom in ways we might never witness. For instance, imagine teaching ethical values to a child. The impact of that lesson could extend to future generations, transforming lives and entire communities. Enoch's message is clear. No one is too small to make a significant difference. Every choice, from being fair in a business deal to standing up for someone treated unjustly, has the potential to create waves of change. These waves can transform even the darkest scenarios, offering hope where there was once despair. This is the essence of Enoch's teachings, the power that lies in the hands of each individual. And these impacts go beyond the individual level. When enough people decide to act ethically and responsibly, the effects are felt on a global scale. Corruption can be fought, resources can be better managed, and communities can thrive. It's the practical application of the concept that small acts of light can dispel the greatest darkness, making Enoch's vision a tangible reality in our time. By the way, if you want to better understand the connection between today's events and biblical warnings, I have an exclusive ebook on biblical prophecies. It's designed to help you prepare for what's to come and is available in the first pinned comment. But hurry, it's a limited time opportunity, so take advantage while it's still accessible. In the next section, we'll explore the timeless human struggles described by Enoch and how they resonate with universal anxieties and aspirations. The human struggles described by Enoch transcend time and space, reflecting dilemmas that continue to challenge humanity. The search for meaning, the battle between selfishness and compassion, and the desire for justice in an imperfect world are issues that have always existed. Imagine someone facing the temptation to act dishonestly for personal gain, but by choosing righteousness, turning that inner struggle into a spiritual victory. These conflicts are the stage where our humanity is tested. What's most remarkable is how modern anxieties resonate with the themes Enoch explored. Uncertainty about the future, feelings of disconnection, and ethical dilemmas in the face of tough choices are clear examples that humanity's concerns remain the same. It's comforting to know that Enoch's teachings offer a framework for addressing these issues, reminding us that the pursuit of justice and righteousness is never in vain. Enoch also points to universal aspirations, such as the desire for peace, harmony, and a sense of purpose. These desires, often overshadowed by the distractions of daily life, signal that the human heart longs for something greater. When we face moral struggles, these aspirations help us stay firm. After all, what could be more important than building a life grounded in values that resonate with divine justice? Another central theme in these timeless human struggles is confronting our own limitations. It's natural to make mistakes or feel overwhelmed by challenges. However, Enoch reminds us that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. A practical example is someone learning to forgive, not out of weakness but strength, allowing righteousness to prevail over pride. It is in these decisions that we reveal our true essence. These struggles, though challenging, are also key to our evolution. And while each person faces their own internal battles, Enoch's invitation is clear. Recognize that we have the power to shape a more just and compassionate world. In the next section, we'll explore how empowerment and responsibility are essential elements for taking an active role in creating a better future. Enoch teaches us that humanity is not merely a passive spectator amid the events of the cosmos. Each individual is an agent with the power to shape the future, and this empowerment comes with an inescapable responsibility. Imagine that every choice made today echoes into tomorrow, whether in its impact on the environment, interpersonal relationships, or the pursuit of justice. This understanding transforms passivity into meaningful action. The responsibility Enoch highlights is at its core, a call to take control of our lives and actions. It's like looking at a chaotic world and saying, I can make a difference, no matter how small. Decisions like raising children with ethical values, supporting causes that promote the common good, or simply treating others with respect are practical ways to exercise this responsibility. It's not about solving all the world's problems, but doing our part. This empowerment is also tied to the understanding that individual choices carry collective weight. When we unite in ethical actions, we create a force capable of changing entire systems. Imagine how global movements against corruption or for sustainability arise from small local initiatives that, when multiplied, transform realities. Enoch invites us to believe that every action matters and that the future of humanity is in our hands. On the other hand, taking on this responsibility can be challenging. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problems around us. However, Enoch's vision reminds us that we are not alone. Every action aligned with divine justice contributes to a greater balance, a synergy between the human and the spiritual. Recognizing this is like lighting a candle in the middle of darkness, offering hope even in the toughest moments. While Enoch inspires us to act, he also warns us about the consequences of ignoring our choices. Are we using our power in a positive way or neglecting the call to be better? This reflection is essential for those who wish to be part of something greater. So why not share in the comments how you're applying this vision in your daily life? Your experience could inspire others to embrace the power and responsibility they also hold. After everything we've explored about Enoch's vision, it's clear that we're not just dealing with stories of the past, but with deeply relevant warnings for the present. Each word of his prophecies echoes as an urgent call, a plea for us to awaken to the impact of our choices, actions, and responsibilities. Now that you've learned this, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will it remain stored as mere information, or will it serve as motivation for necessary and practical changes? Enoch's vision shows us that a world in darkness isn't just a metaphor, it's a palpable reality. Just look around. Environmental crises, global corruption, social inequalities, and a widespread disconnection from ethical values. This isn't just coincidence. It's the reflection of humanity often choosing darkness over light. Enoch warns us that this has consequences, both individual and collective. The key point here is, how can each of us break this cycle and become part of a genuine transformation? The answer begins with recognizing that small daily choices have a significant impact. You might think, what can I do as just one person? But remember what we've learned about ripple effects. A gesture of kindness, a word of encouragement, or even an ethical decision in a tough moment can create waves that reach far beyond what you imagine. It's in this movement, in these conscious choices that uphold justice and righteousness, that we begin to illuminate the darkest corners of our collective existence. Enoch also reminds us that we are in a spiritual battle. It's not just about what we do, but how we face temptations, pressures, and challenges that test our character. Living with integrity in a world that often glorifies shortcuts and instant rewards isn't easy, but it's necessary. Think about the angels of divine justice he describes, figures descending to restore balance. You may not be an angel in the literal sense, but your actions can reflect the same purpose of bringing balance, peace, and justice to your environment. Now take a moment to reflect. What does it mean to you to shine like the sun, as Enoch described the righteous? Could it be living with integrity, helping those in need, and being fair in all your relationships? Or perhaps it's teaching these values to those around you, creating a new generation more aware and connected to righteousness. Whatever your answer, it demands action. It's not enough to just think, you must act. And you've already taken the first step by seeking this knowledge. Be honest with yourself. Is there something in your life that needs adjustment to align your actions with the principles of righteousness we've discussed here? Maybe it's forgiving someone, letting go of habits you know aren't healthy, or starting to contribute more to causes that promote good. Write it down, put it into practice, because the impact of your choices is greater than you realize. And before we wrap up, I want to emphasize something very important. Don't let this be just another piece of content you consume and forget. Subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications to keep learning and reflecting on biblical prophecies and the signs of the end times. Every video we create here is a crucial piece to help you better understand what's happening in the world and, more importantly, how you can prepare for what's to come. Your transformation begins with knowledge, but it's only complete with action. Let's build a future together that honors the values of righteousness and justice.